Hello again, Stuart Heath, CEO and founder of Harvard Grace Capital, bringing you the fourth installment of our series, The Anatomy of a Syndication. What is a syndication? What does that mean? It's how passive investors get involved in the ownership and profiting from real estate. Generally, you can syndicate almost anything. A lot of oil and gas is done through this mechanism. Syndication is just a big word that means you pull a bunch of people in together and you share the risks and rewards of a particular investment opportunity. So far, we've talked about the search, the analysis, the offer. Tonight, we're going to talk about the contract. Next week, we will talk about the financing, the closing, and the due diligence. Due diligence can also be fun, and it's extremely important. Anyway, let's get started. We're diving into the contract. So, we had our search, we did our analysis, we made an offer, we might have gone back and forth 2 or 3 times with the seller before we agree upon a price. Now we have terms that we've agreed to, perhaps just an email or a simple term sheet. Now we've got to do a contract. Sometimes the buyer wants to do the contract. I would say most of the time it's expected that the buyer go to the time and expense of preparing the contract. The buyer is going to bear most of the cost of the entire transaction anyway. Sometimes the seller wants to do it. It really kind of goes to their own, the way they like to do a deal. Anyway, somebody's going to pull together the first draft of a contract. It's probably going to be built off of another contract that you've done in the past. And it will include all the terms that you included in your term sheet or your offer, agreed and accepted offer. But then there's other things you're going to deal with in the contract. There's going to be things like a due diligence period. There's going to be things like, what are the actual terms of the earnest money? What's going to happen? When will the seller be required to deliver certain information to you? All of these things get boiled down into the contract. They're very, very, very detailed. They're also very, very important because this is the deal that you're going to have to live with up through and even after the closing. And this sets the stage for the next step, which is the due diligence, which is where you're going to go in and do all of your own investigations and spend money and hire inspectors and look at all the leases and do kind of background research on the tenants and things of that nature. So this sets the contract sets the parameters on your rights to be able to do all of that. And we always put in our contract, there's got to be a free look period in there. So once we discover something we don't like, we can get out, we get our earnest money back, and then we go on to the next deal if there's something we discover that we don't like. It happens all the time. And sometimes you get back together under a different contract on the same piece of property because it's a little bit like a dating relationship. Sometimes you start and stop. So anyway, that's the contract phase. Come back next time where we talk about due diligence. This is hugely important, and you need to make sure who's doing your due diligence and how thorough they're being. So come back and watch next time. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you taking the time.